We can call the May 16th meeting of the Laconia Police Commission to order. Would you please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have the recording secretary, Executive Assistant Laurie Marsh, and following commissioners are present, myself, Douglas Whittam, Thomas Tarr, and Frank Mello. I'd like to recognize the staff present, Chief Matthew J. Canfield, Captain Alan Grayton, Lieutenant Richard Simmons, Lieutenant Thomas Sweat, Lieutenant Michael P. Finogle, and Prosecutor Sawyer is not here. So we have a quorum, so let's move on. On the personnel matters, I understand we have a new hiring, Chief.
Sir, you swear me?
Yep.
No, you want to come up? Yes, sir. This is Noah Bullier. He's from Southington, Connecticut. He attended the Tunxus College, and he just recently left the United States Army as an infantryman, so he's separated from active duty honorably, and was just hired by us. He's in his second week, going through the 6-week in-house program, and will be going to the academy at the end of August.
You can raise your right hand. Do you, Noah M. Bollier, solemnly swear and affirm that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent upon you as a full-time police officer for the city of Laconia, New Hampshire, according to the best of your abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Laconia Police Department, the Constitution of the United States, the laws of the state of New Hampshire, and the ordinances of the city of Laconia, New Hampshire. So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. You're welcome.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Or welcome.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Congratulations. Keep working out, or you're gonna look like me.
Congratulations. Congratulations, welcome.
Yeah, good point.
Just got it.
Yeah, it's on now.
Moving on, commendations and awards.
Last night we had our annual awards ceremony, which all of you were in attendance. I thought it was a very nice ceremony, and just wish to thank the staff that helped put this all together, because it's a lot of work putting all that together, and everybody pulled together, and it was much appreciated.
That was good. That was a nice night. Training, Lieutenant Finogle.
I don't have a whole lot. We're winding down because the summer's here and the schedule's tight and things are busy, so we've had a couple conferences that people have attended. If you have any questions about what's in the packet.
I have a couple questions. What's the, what are the accreditation cycle we on, Lieutenant? When's the next on-site visit?
I don't know. When is it?
3 more years. This
Oh, yeah,
was
3 more
this was the first year
Without
where
it.
where they
4-year
looked in at the
cycle?
files. We're on a 4-year cycle now. It used to be 3 until everything went to Power DMS.
So these accreditations are just things you do on an interim basis? Prior
Correct.
to
They
the
have
on-site?
updates and stuff like that for the ones that Robin went to for Power DMS and the new accreditation standards that will be rolling out after we take the next cycle.
Yeah.
However, they have changed it, so on an annual basis, they go in and check a certain number of files every year, and I think I gave that report to you for this past year. They check a number of different files every year, so it makes it a lot more consistent, that you're actually following what the standards are.
That you're up to date every year, not just at the end.
So I have one more. I noticed that the chief and captain attended part of that conference had to do with use of force.
Yes.
Was there any takeaways you guys had from that?
Yeah, there were a lot of takeaways. It was put on by Eric Daigle, who's a well-known use of force and police attorney.
Yeah.
He's out of Connecticut. He represents a lot of departments and is considered a use of force expert. There were a lot of takeaways as far as what we can do to change our use of force reporting in particular. And I think we'll be looking into making some of those changes as recommended by him.
You still maintain that report that one of the captains did before you, Alan? He did a use of force summary,
Yeah, we actually, so every use,
up to date and maintain, or?
Yes. Yep, every year we do a full evaluation and a report on it.
every use of force gets a use of force report completed. It's approved by the supervisor, and then at monthly staff meetings, they get approved or reviewed by the staff as far as tactics and whether it's in policy or out of policy. If it's out of policy, it would be referred to as maybe discipline or retraining. And then at the end of the year, those are compiled and the whole entire department is looked at as far as use of force, use of forces versus total arrest stats.
Is that a required, like a federal report? It goes up the line to,
Not as of yet. There is talk of making a national use of force reporting system. It's not there yet. But it's certainly our standard that we review these. I mean, uses of force are high liability areas and certainly something we look at, but it's also an accreditation standard too.
miscellaneous, Laconia Links, Chief Canfield.
Nothing?
Resignations and retirement, Chief Canfield.
Nothing?
Hirings, okay. Promotions and classification change, Chief Canfield.
Nothing at this time?
Division, the Bureau Commanders Forum, Operations Support Division Commander, Captain Grayton.
We, about a week and a half ago, picked up the motorcycle that we're gonna be leasing from Manchester Harley Davidson. That's been lettered, now we're just waiting for the radio and the lights to come in from Ospey Mountain. We'll get those installed, and that'll be ready before Motorcycle Week. We've tentatively ordered 3 new SUVs, dependent on the city's CIP being approved with the budget. We've got the PD schedule for Motorcycle Week completed. That's been published to the officers. Got all the details posted for that, and also the out-of-town agencies have gotten back to us, so we've got all the officers, all the slots filled that we had put out for. We have the breakfast meeting for Motorcycle Week on the 30th at 9, where all our partners will be there, and we'll go through what the plans are for Motorcycle Week.
The motorcycle, is that a bid? The rental, does that go up to bid, or is that?
I worked with John Gardner. Manchester Harley was the cheapest. We're at $2,670 a year. The next closest one was Seacoast Harley at $5,000 a year. And then all the other local Harley dealers around here don't do leases.
Don't do leases.
Yeah, so those were the only 2 that we found that did leases, so that was approved through John Gardner.
Support Division, Captain Green.
I have something under that, Captain.
Okay.
So, just talking about Carlin. So, have a part-time dispatcher candidate that's going through a background process right now. That's actually wrapped up, so we just need to have the chief review it. And we're also hiring another CRO for the summer. A young male that's in college at UNH, and he's looking to become a police officer. So, it's gonna act kind of as a recruiting tool, hopefully, as well.
What does that leave us, Lieutenant, full-time staffing-wise with a new hire we swore in today?
3, still 3 down.
Do you have interview people in the pipeline, or?
So right now, we just washed 2 candidates in our background process. We have one that's still along in the process for July. Today, I just did a timeline for June testing. Great Bay puts out a written test on June 2nd, and we'll be doing a PT test and oral boards the following week. It'll be right after Bike Week. So we're hopeful to get I guess it would be a target date of November 19th for a start date for them, if we can successfully get some candidates through the background process.
So, just one more question, Lieutenant Sweat. How many, of those background investigations that your unit does?
What's that again?
Of those background investigations that your unit does?
Yeah.
How many of those roughly end up in a washout situation because of information developed along the way?
I'm gonna say right now, we're probably at about 50%.
Yeah,
So,
which actually is not horrible when you consider everything that leads up to that is honing that list down pretty tight. And some of them don't actually go to the full polygraph. There's a pretty comprehensive interview beforehand.
generally, what are some of the reasons that people are washing out for applicants? Is
And
there a theme, is there a common theme?
Things that would prevent them from being certified as police officers in the state of New Hampshire by standards set by the council, and any sort of deception.
Anything at all, right?
Operations Division, Lieutenant Simmons.
Talking about the hiring and stuff, obviously, you know, we're very short-handed, even with the two new coming on. We won't be able to use them until the end of the summer. So there's been a lot of planning, trying to make do what we have with the events coming up. We're coming into the busy season, so there's quite a few events coming up. Memorial Day Parade, then of course Bike Week. After that, 4th of July and the Weirs, they have at midnight, the night of the 3rd. Then the big event on the 7th of July with parade, fireworks, Peachy Park event. Right after that, in August, we go into National Night Out, August 7th. This year, it's going to be at 57 Blueberry Lane. And then in September, we roll right into the Citizens Academy. So there's quite a few things coming up, a lot of planning going on with that right now.
Thank you. Detective Division, Lieutenant Sweat.
We put in 2 grant applications this week, one for the opioid abuse reduction initiative, and also a 50/50 grant for continuing to purchase bulletproof vests for the officers. Since our last meeting, our New Hampshire Homeland Security and Emergency Management Grant for our full-scale exercise was approved. So we did the first part of that. We did the board game last week. Yeah, last week. And we're starting to reach out to our law enforcement partners to get them involved in the next 2 months of that, which is a tabletop exercise and a full-scale exercise in the fall. And as you can see, I don't want to jump too far ahead, spoil all the surprise.
Thank you.
But off the stats, very busy with backgrounds and training and shift coverage, and need more detectives. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal Division, we can skip over that. Acceptance of minutes from the previous meeting. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
No, second.
On a motion by Commissioner Mello, seconded by Commissioner Tar, and passed unanimously, the meeting minutes of April 19th were accepted and as distributed. Out-of-state schools.
So I get a RISE exercise. It's an exercise that the captain and the chief are going to attend in Worcester that actually is going to involve planning for an incident that happens at Motorcycle Week in Laconia. So that'll be June 12th. And the cost is submitted there. I believe it's basic hotel at government rate.
Yep.
That's in Worcester, Mass.
The HIDA training that's coming up for Detective Carson,
That managing narcotic informants, is that the one you're talking about? That's in Metro.
is that a train-the-trainer kind of thing, where Detective Carson come back and?
He'll obviously be back knowledge, but it's not, he won't be certified as an instructor or anything.
Okay. So you have to actually continue to send folks to that, or just selected people to it that?
HIDA offers training, and then there's a lot of follow-up trainings. I mean, everything's changing.
Yeah.
The whole paradigm shifts every year or 2.
Do I have a motion to accept the New England Regional Intermodal Security Exercise with Chief Canfield and Captain Creighton?
I move that we approve that out-of-state training.
Second it.
And a motion made by Commissioner Tar, seconded by Mr. Mello. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. The above training school was approved. Managing narcotics informants, Detective Carson. Do I have a motion to approve this training
I
session?
make a motion we approve that training at Haida.
Second it.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Tar, seconded by Commissioner Mello. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. The above training school was approved. Review of monthly activity reports.
Mr. Chair, can we do the classification and compensation plan in that section as well?
Oh, okay. You've all received a copy of the classification and compensation plan. And I believe a motion is in order to accept this as presented. This would be for the non-union employees.
Can you take a second and read it through, Matt?
Sure thing.
This is for non-union employees throughout the city.
That's correct. This was presented by the city manager as far as the change to the health insurance, as well as the cost of living increase, and it was approved by the city council last week for all non-union employees.
Do I have a motion to accept the classification and compensation plan as presented?
I move that we approve it as presented.
A second?
Second.
On a motion made by Commissioner Tar, seconded by Commissioner Mello, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. The classification compensation plan is accepted and approved. Review of monthly activity reports, monthly highlights, Chief Canfield.
So for the month of April, we responded to 1,659 total calls for service, investigated 307 different criminal offenses, made a total of 115 physical custody arrests, 410 motor vehicle stops, 29 motor vehicle summonses, and 392 motor vehicle written warnings. We had 0 fatal accidents for the month, but we did have 45 total motor vehicle accidents, 8 of which had personal injury. Issued 103 parking tickets, arrested 4 people for DWI, and took 27 people into protective custody. We responded to 28 different domestic disturbance calls during the month, 67 other disturbances, 6 suicidal subjects, and investigated 6 violation of restraining orders. Laconia Police employees donated 3 volunteer hours, and the Victim Services Unit donated a total of 11 and a half hours, serving 10 victims over the course of the month.
Questions? Moving on to monthly fleet report, Lieutenant Fanogo.
I don't have anything unless you have any questions.
Criminal Investigative Unit statistics, Lieutenant Sweat.
Nothing additional. I noticed the increase in sex offender registrations over the 2 days of last year, and it's relative to the conversation we had last month.
Traffic statistics. Where-
So during the month of April, we responded 46 total motor vehicle accidents, 8 of which were with injury. The most common cause of the accident listed was other, which could have been a number of different things. followed by 8 accidents involving driver inattention or distraction. Cell phones and distracted driving continues to be at the top of the list for causes of accidents. And if we look at breakdown of accidents, the most accidents we had for the month, 4 of which were on Parade Road, 3 on Union Avenue, 3 on Court Street, and 3 on Belmont Road. So those were the highest number of accidents on those roads. All the rest were kind of isolated incidents.
Questions? Budget printouts. Captain Creighton.
We are looking on track. If we keep the same as we have in the past 43 weeks, we should be right on track.
At the risk of
9
asking
weeks
an ad
left.
nauseum question, but help me out again, at this juncture of the fiscal year with the overtime account there? And how we're gonna, are you shifting money in there? Is that how you're gonna do that, or?
Yeah, it'll just come out of the regular salary line.
Our budget operates on a bottom dollar amount, so we can run individual line items over. It's all at the bottom line, so we don't have to transfer from line to line. I can tell you our overtime has traditionally been overspent every year since I've been here. And it's not because we use overtime unnecessarily. Our overtime, I would say probably 75% of it is committed to court time. When officers are off duty, they have to come in and testify in court. The rest of it is used to, in emergency situations, when officers either make an arrest at the end of the shift and have to stay, or they get caught, there's a bigger incident and the officers have to come in or stay over from their shift. For the most part, we run down. We do not backfill one for one, unless it becomes critical and there's 2 officers working. We can't run a shift with 2 officers, but if a shift is scheduled for 4 officers and 1 officer's out sick, we don't replace it typically. As far as supervisory coverage, when sergeants are out, the lieutenants, the captain, myself will cover that shift to avoid the cost of overtime on most occasions. So we do try to keep our overtime in check as much as absolutely possible.
If we ever get to full staffing to fill those 3 other vacancies, will that have much of an impact on that, do you think?
It'll have maybe some impact. I think this summer is going to be very tight going into it with the schedule the way it is. So I think that's going to have a little bit of an impact on the overtime, but most of our overtime is consumed by court time. And we've worked many different ways of trying it out, but unfortunately, a lot of people will file a must appear, and then they'll work a plea out when they arrive to court, and we can't just not have the officer show up because in the event that they want a trial, especially on summonses and stuff like that, if the officer's not there, it gets dismissed. So we have to make the officer appear, and we've tried some pretrial stuff, calling people that receive tickets or have arraignment dates, but it's very difficult to narrow down the mandatory court appearances.
Correspondence to and from the department. Chief Canfield.
There was a couple letters that we received. A nice one for Eric Adams, helping a woman that struck a pothole on Court Street and did substantial damage to her vehicle. By the sound of the letter, it doesn't sound like she had much of a view of the police to start with. But after her interaction with Officer Adams, he went up above and beyond, and she was very impressed, and I think it changed her outlook on the police perspective in Laconia, which was very nice to hear. There was a thank you letter from Sergeant Boldick, who used to work for this agency as a sergeant back in the day. We attended his funeral and kind of surprised his wife by being there, and I think she appreciated the support of us being there.
Was he a retiree of the department, Chief?
I don't know if he actually retired or if he left for a different career field.
I didn't know that he even worked here until I saw that note today.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I never knew him. It was quite a while ago, but I saw his obituary, and we wound up attending the funeral. And then there was a thank you letter for helping do a Make-A-Wish escort. If you're not familiar, the Make-A-Wish program it's just an incredible program, and I think it probably benefits us doing those escorts as much as it benefits the kid. It's a pretty moving experience, so.
to the chief's report. Chief Canfield.
We received 12 performance assessment cards, all of which were As. On May 25th, we'll be serving lunch at Woodland Heights Elementary School. It's a barbecue that they do in the springtime every year, and we go up there, interact with the kids, and help cook lunch for them. As far as overdoses for the month, we've had a total of, well, year-to-date, a total of 37 overdoses year-to-date. As total of 2017, as a reference, we had 146 overdoses. So far, year-to-date, we have 4 confirmed overdose deaths, with most probably 2 more that are going to be added to that list once the toxicology comes back, but it looks like it'll be a total of 6 at the current time. Last year, we had a total of 9 overdose deaths for the year.
Unfortunately, it looks like we're like running 35% ahead
Yeah, they're definitely
at
running,
this juncture as we were last year.
yep. Definitely trending high, but, you know, it kind of ebbs and flows, so
Yeah.
we'll see what the rest of it goes. The Governor's Task Force has been very busy with not only the task force, but also the subcommittees that have been meeting. I'm on the Emergency Response Subcommittee as well as the Technology Subcommittee. We had a meeting on Monday down in Concord. There's been a lot of work that's been pushed out on that as far as school safety, involving a lot of different areas. We're looking to wrap up and do some kind of final report by the middle of June. So it's a really tight agenda, but I think there's a lot of good work that's coming out of that committee that's going to be pushed out statewide as far as recommendations for school safety. So that's all I have.
Questions, anything under old business?
Nothing?
New business?
Nothing?
Confirmation of the next meeting date, June 20th, 2018. Other business?
Nothing?
Citizen comments? Is there a need for non-public session?
I'd like to make a motion that we enter non-public session.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Carr, seconded by Commissioner Mello, that we go into non-public session, reference the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected has a right to a meeting, and to request that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. So we have a motion and a second. Unanimous? Unanimous vote? Okay, then we'll go into non-public session, and when we come out, there'll be no vote taken. No vote taken. So you don't have to be there.
Oh, I don't have to come in.
No.
No.
We need to mark down time and everything.
I'll let you know what time,
Okay.
so we come out.
You have your copy?
Yeah.